to this week's virtual forum with IPM. Today, Friday, March 5th, we're pleased to gather together across time and space on the anniversary of one of our founders passing, the late wonderful Reverend Jim Mayer, who remains an inspiration for this organization and our work across boundaries of culture, faith, economic circumstance, and we're now saying caste as well as we think about the really important mission and ministry of IPM. We're glad to have you with us, and we're thrilled to gather together, especially today, 3 days before International Women's Day, which for those of you who have lived and worked abroad may know that is really a highlight now of the calendar year for women and girls around the world to reaffirm their dignity and to refocus our collective efforts on behalf of gender equity and justice, and particularly in IPM's case, in relation to all the good work our female partners, our female-led partners do around the world. And today we're thrilled to be joined by many of the women on IPM staff, on our International Executive Board of Directors, and our project partners, both here on Zoom and live on Facebook. Today, we're thrilled that our speaker, who will be familiar to many of you, probably all of you on Zoom, is Adela Zayas, who has been with IPM be able to hear me, but it's been into that role since and her Fulbright Scholar York, and
you're breaking up, Joe.
As our international. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Joe.
Great.
Now we heard you.
Yeah, try again. I think it's back. You're back.
Thank you. Who joined or assumed the new role as our international.
Still breaking up a little.
With our project partner. Ilsa, how about if you introduce Adela then?
Oh, I'll be glad to if that'll work. We're very glad to introduce Adela, who is our wonderful colleague, who Joe was trying to say stepped into a new and wonderful expanded role as our Director of International Partnerships and Programs, and also serves as our Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean. I think she will, throughout her presentation today, kind of share a little bit more about her experience and what's led her to this role. And we look forward to having her share with us more. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ilse and Joe. And I'm really happy to see many faces today. I'm really happy that we can all be together in this shared space of commitment and interest in our partners around the world and in other important social change areas as well. So as Ilse and Joe were saying, this transition has been very important to me. It has allowed me to be in contact with other partners around the world, not only in Latin America. So for me, it has been really mind-opening and heart-opening as well. And I'm really excited to keep learning about what our project partners do in each of their specific regions. But today I want to focus around Latin America and the work that our partners are doing here. And I hope that I have the opportunity to present maybe a more global topic later in this year with my new role. So Ilse, if you could please share the presentation. Thank you so much. And so I would like to share with you around this topic. And the name of my presentation is this one, Rethinking Social Change in the Face of COVID-19. And I'm gonna share lessons of resiliency through solidarity from our partners in the Latin America and the Caribbean region. And this presentation is based on a report that we made here in the Latin America and the Caribbean office around the annual report. So this annual report gathers all the information about the challenges, about the successes, about the future activities or projections that our partners are trying to do in next years and in upcoming months as well. So all of what I'm gonna share today is based on this report and based on the voice of our project partners. So I think that's very valuable. And so I would like to start just introducing the topic by saying that COVID-19, as many of you know, has affected every aspect of life around the globe, from individual relationships to individual operations to international collaborations. As society tries to defend themselves through the severe restrictions on people's movement and interactions, the disease continues to annihilate families, upend governments, crush economies, and tear through the social sector. The interconnectedness and vulnerabilities of the complex systems that make the modern world run have never been more unstable. So for us as people that are working with communities, with projects in a nonprofit organization, we need to ask some questions. And this is, how should the social sector respond to the evolving crisis? How will nonprofits, foundations, philanthropic organizations, and social justice advocates emerge from the pandemic? What unique insight and capabilities can civil society bring to bear on the problems the world now faces? How will organizations manage potentially catastrophic challenges to funding their operations? And how will project partners and communities and people become resilient through all this experience? And so to start talking about this topic, I would like to hear some of you around a very specific question, which is, what comes to your mind when you hear these words? And these words are social change. I know for many of us can mean different things. And so I would like maybe 2 or 3 participations from any of you that would like to share what your vision or insights are about social change. And maybe just to share what comes to your mind when you hear these words. So I'm gonna open up I'm gonna stop a little bit so that I can hear you out and so that we can also hear the diversity of maybe ideas that you might have from anywhere that we are in the world. And I think that's the valuable thing about IPM, that it really connects us with one another. So if any of you would like to participate, please do.
It looks like Hemit has raised his hand, Adela.
Oh yes, sure, Hemit, you can go ahead. We're listening.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Hemit.
Hi, Hemit, we can hear you.
Yes, Joe, sorry, but my network is very low. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
I am in tribal area, so I have a network problem. So I think you continue your hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Hemit. We'll continue.
Thank you, Hemit. We will. Yeah. So we understand, Hemit. So if any of you would like to participate, you can do. Just by answering this question, what comes to your mind when you hear these words? When you hear social change, what does these words mean to you?
May I? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mahesh.
Yeah, I think for us, social change was something that we were discussing yesterday. Changes in caste and gender-based dynamics in the societies that we live in. For me and Himat, that would be an aspect of social change.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mahesh.
Adela, I would like to add something.
Please, Vindhya, do.
Okay. If I want to state it in one line, I would say that women should be independent to take their own decisions. That would be a social change according to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Vindhya. Maybe one more participation?
Adela?
Yes, please, Sunny. We hear.
In my mind, I think social change is changing for positive thinking. We have to change for positive in one word. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Sony. Okay.
Well, for me, the social
Yes, please.
change. Yeah, for me, social change. Now I may be thinking this along the wrong lines, but like when I went to El Salvador or any of the other immersion trips, I'm now in an area where people look at things differently, not necessarily right or wrong, but differently. So it's a change in the way I would look at things as a United States citizen.
Definitely, Joe. Thank you so much. Well, and I think all the things that you have mentioned from your perspectives, from your experiences, are social change. And I also wanted it to share like my personal view around social change, maybe before 2020. And whenever we talked, or whenever I talked or thought about social change, I imagine big things changing, you know, like fights and protests and different activities that leads to big changes in the world, like to change the structure of the world, how the world works, the systems, to change them, you know, and sometimes this idea was very challenging, and sometimes it was very discouraging, and sometimes it was very motivating, but most of the times it was very overwhelming because I felt that I needed to do so much to really make these changes happen. And that's why I really appreciate all the views that you have brought to this presentation, and the things that you have shared around social change, because what you have shared in these minutes really represent things that we can manage, things that we can control. Sometimes we cannot control everything that happens in the political world, or all the dynamics that happen around power, you know. But all the things that you have mentioned, we can control them. We can control being positive, or at least we can manage it. We can try to be positive. We can try to do actions around racism and around castes, and to change perspectives around how we see things. And I think this is very valuable. And to many sociologists, the definition of social change is the change. Many sociologists define social change as changes in human interactions and relationships that transform cultural, political, and social institutions. So for social transformation, for social change to happen, sometimes we do not have to look only at the broad and the big picture, but also to the base, and the base are the people. And changes really start there, how we treat people, how we talk to people, how we see one another, and especially how we support one another. And this is what leads to social change, the way we perceive one another and the way that we accompany their journey as well. Ilse, can you go to the next slide, please? And so I think that there's another one before that. I'm sorry, it says resiliency and solidarity. No, it's not that one. Wait, I think you might have, that's weird.
What slide is it on yours? I don't see
Is the third one. It says resiliency and solidarity. Maybe it's hidden. You can press. Yeah, it's just after that one. Social change. No, it's
how is it hidden? I'm not sure.
So you go to the so you go to the presentation and put the third slide. I don't know if you can see where it says resiliency and solidarity. And then it says,
let's see if we could try it this way.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, it skips over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, these things happen.
Yeah, I don't know why it's hidden.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you again. I don't think this will take so many time, so maybe you can open up. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, I already sent it.
Technology.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, maybe you can put it like in the presentation mode because we can see the notes. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Ilse.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, we were talking about social change. And so since we were also talking about how sociologists define social change, which is the change in human interactions and relationships, I think during my time working at IPM, I have also seen the importance of different elements and concepts when it comes to human relationships. And one of these two terms that I really think that are really important is resiliency and solidarity, which are terms and words that we heard constantly here at IPM, and the work that our project partners do always remind us about this. And so if we take a look at resilience, is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Resilience in a more broader way is the ability of an organism or system to absorb changes and bounce back after external shocks, even as maintaining some sort of imperfect equilibrium. It is an attitude of constant preparedness for emergency and precarity, and is otherwise generally agnostic about the causes of crisis or the direction of change. Some authors define it like this. And according to two widely quoted authors, resilience is the acceptance of disequilibrium itself as a principle of organization. As a concept, resilience is really resilient. It is highly adaptable and expandable, signifying endurance, preparedness, adaptability, activation, expansion, collective intelligence, and even democratic mutualism. Resilience can have a positive connotation, as many of you already know, and a negative one. In the positive way is the psychological capacity to adapt to stressful circumstances and to bounce back from adverse events, adapting gracefully. But in the negative aspect of resilience, resilience could make people overly tolerant of adversity without making any actual changes to their realities. And so this is some of the concepts that we look at resilience, and to take into account that resiliency can have both a positive and a negative aspect. We as an organization, and especially as staff here in Latin America, we really need to ask ourselves how our project partners are using resiliency. How are they practicing this resiliency? Are they really using resiliency to tolerate and to just settle down for any type of adversity or of any type of crisis that they might face? Or are they using it to look at some kind of change? And so this is where solidarity comes from my perspective and from my experience. And solidarity is the unity or agreement of feeling or action, especially among individuals with a common interest. It's mutual support within a group. And so when we look at the relationship with resiliency and solidarity, I can say from my experience and from my personal view that our project partners do put resiliency into practice in a positive way, because they do not only resist whatever is coming, but with solidarity, through solidarity, they really put into practice change mechanisms that do not only support their work, but support other communities, other people, other networks that they have relationship with, and sometimes that they do not have relationship with. And so where resilience sometimes seems to strive towards systematic stability and survivability, solidarity refuses to take the established order for granted, imagining itself in a combative relation on the side of the emergent potential of vital power, essentially the power by which humans become agents of their own history. And so when we take a look at when I look at our project partners and the work that they do, I do not look at this work separately, resiliency and solidarity, as the presentation says, but I see resiliency through solidarity. And this is how they put into practice change mechanisms, as I was saying before, where they can analyze the reality, where they criticize the reality, and where they can take advantage of this analysis and put into practice all the different the transformative things that they have understand and that they have learned from this analysis. And I think this is what makes our project partners so successful, because of the change mechanisms that they put into the work that they do. And so if you could please change the slide, Ilse, please. And so I wanted it, so we all, as I was talking about social change, resiliency, and solidarity, so I wanted it to present to you a social change wheel that was presented by a work by some students of Case Western Reserve University. And I know that social change, as I was mentioning before, signifies a lot of different things for many of us from our perspectives and experiences. And so in this social change wheel, we can see that community service, that political involvement, that advocacy, that social responsibility, that philanthropic giving, participation in association makes social change. So all these elements are very important to social change. And I definitely agree with all of this, but through my experience with IPM, and especially this past year in 2020, the year of change, our project partners have taught us very valuable lessons that I would like to share with you, that sum up, that add to this social change wheel, that also takes into account other elements and other concepts. And so I would like to share the lessons that we have learned as a staff during this year. And so the first one is that there is no health without mental health. In Latin America, with the Colombian study called Solidaridad, mental health was investigated, finding that 75% of the people interviewed said that they had suffered mental health problems. 54% felt nervous, 52% tired for no reason, 46% were restless or impatient, and 34% felt rage or anger. The 18 to 29-year-old group was the most affected compared to those over 50 years of age. In 2019, these results, the first paragraphs that I just read, represent the results of this study, the Colombian study in 2020. And in 2019, of the total health budget, only 0.9% is directed to psychiatry hospitals in Central America, Mexico, and the Latin America and the Caribbean, and 2.10% in South America. And these statistics show the negligence and lack of relevance that is given to mental health in Latin America, from government budgets that do not cover enough institutions that treat mental disorders, or simply mental situations that needed to be attended. The social and economic costs that mental, neurological, and substance use disorder represent for individuals and communities can be overcome with more investment and paradigm shift through the models that place people and not disease at the center of the system, and focus more on the recovery than on cure. And I think in our experience, last year with our project partners, we saw a lot of stress, we saw a lot of anxiety. A lot of our project partners and the project leaders lost people from COVID-19, but also from other situations. And these losses, these important changes to their reality made huge consequences to their mental health. And many of them shared, I do not feel motivated to work. I do not feel motivated to continue the work that I'm doing. And I think even though they were healthy physically, if mentally they were not stable, not only their work was a burden, but also the personal situations that they were struggling were as well. And so we see we saw this connection between the importance of taking care of their mental health and their physical the physical health as well. This is why we decided to take some actions with our colleagues, with Adela and Victoria. And so please, Ilse, if you can change the slide. So we decided to create workshops around mental health topics to support our partners in the Latin America and the Caribbean region to support their different life experiences. And the LAC staff created workshops directed to all our project partners in the region, focused on providing different psychosocial tools to navigate in a healthy way loss processes, as well as accompany others experiencing the same situation. These workshops were in a video format that was spread through WhatsApp and other types of communication with our project partners. Others were centered on sharing theoretical and practical information on what is stress and how to manage it. Also, we have focused on giving tools to project partners on how to return to workplace in a safe way, in a psychological, socially, and physical terms. At the same time, we have provided different workshops through Zoom calls and other types of communication around stress and anxiety, as well as emotional management and relaxation methods through mindfulness tools, as well as others. And for us, these workshops were very important to make because as social leaders, they get burnout and they really need they really need self-care practices to help them cope not only with their own personal situations, but also the organizational situations. We had, for example, partners from Nicaragua telling us that the organization was suffering a lot of cut of funds. And so this represents very high levels of stress for the leaders. And you can imagine how it is to deal with a whole organization during a pandemic and during political instability, for example, in Nicaragua. And so we really saw the importance of taking care of the individuals that are behind the projects to really carry out the projects properly, adequately, and most of all healthy. We also need healthy individuals in every aspect, in the mental aspect and also in the physical aspect. And you know that they are connected. So this was one of the important lessons that we learned. And since we talked in the past, as I mentioned in the past, investment in this area, it's important. And not only in the national level, in the governmental level, but our institutions, our project partners individually, and us as IPM need to take special attention to this aspect of the human experience. Ilse, can you change the slide? Thank you. Okay, so going on to continue, the second lesson that we learned is that food sovereignty is a way of decolonization. According to the World Food Program, food availability in Latin America rose from April to July from 2020, but 78% of respondents in June reported an increase in food prices compared to 59% in April. This highlights the worsening of food security. As a result, food consumption has decreased. In fact, 1 in 3 people has to either skip meals and eat reduced amounts or not eat for an entire day. These behaviors particularly occur among lower income groups, of which 16% reported going a day without eating in the week prior in July, so in the middle of the pandemic. Food sovereignty is centrally, though not exclusively, about groups of people making their own decisions about the food systems. It is a way of talking about a theoretically informed food system practice. Since people are different, we should expect decisions about food sovereignty to be different in every different context, albeit constant with a core set of principles, including women's rights, a shared opposition to genetically modified crops, and demands for agriculture to be removed from current international trade agreements. And so this is very important to highlight because as many of you know, a lot of our partners suffer from lack of food. Because of pandemic, because no one here, at least in El Salvador and in Colombia, as well as the Dominican Republic, as we suffered quarantine, people could not go to work. And many of our project partners, or maybe more of, of the participants of the projects have informal jobs where they do not have a wage secure. They do not have social security as well. And so this already makes their work very unstable. And now with the quarantine coming to all the countries of Latin America, they didn't have resources. They didn't have the opportunity to go to work and bring resources to their houses. And so we suffer from a huge crisis in food and alimentation. And so this is why some of our project partners decided to start their own projects around agriculture. So can you change the slide, Ilse, please? And so all our partners, to address this situation, all of our partners, without any exception, distributed food bags for different communities during COVID-19. They serve approximately around 200 people and families around their communities in each of their countries and each of their specific regions and areas of work. And 5 out of 9 of our partners decided either to start or continue strengthening food sovereignty projects. 3 of our partners started family gardens, teaching all family members about agriculture. And so that's why you see children planting some seeds and watering some plants, because for most of our partners, teaching kids about agriculture and about the importance of food sovereignty is it's a way of hope. It's a way of changing the system. It's a way of decolonization. And all this, we do it through solidarity. So again, this is what the resiliency through solidarity looks in how it looks in our region. There are a lot of organizations that supported our project partners by delivering some seeds so they can plant it in their gardens. And many of our project partners, 5 out of 9, as I mentioned, they decided to not only keep these seeds, for example, in their backyard or in the project, but to spread them out to the community, not only with project participants, but also with other people that are not related to the projects necessarily. And they share their experience. They provide workshops around how to take care of plants, how to grow a garden, how to grow tomato, cucumber, and other types of vegetables. And this represents change in the way that we look at food, but also the way that we look at our food system, our nutrition, our diets as well. So this was another important lesson that we learned. The other lesson, the third lesson that we learned, is that gender equality and the empowerment of women must be at the core of the answer, and any answer. Women have been disproportionately affected by the pandemic. They work mostly in the informal sector, and in the most affected sector, their capacity to absorb economic shocks is lower, and they take charge of greater demands for care at home. At the same time, that they are more exposed to the increase of violence in a region that already show high rates of gender-based violence. Every effort should be made to ensure that women and girls can fully enjoy the rights, including the right to life, free from violence, exploitation, and discrimination, the right to health and education, employment, wages, and social protection, as well as the promotion of their economic autonomy and political participation. And this year, we were able to witness the growth of many of the groups of women that we work with. Can you change the slide, please, Ilse? And so we saw women all around Latin America doing different things. We saw people in Zaragoza, in El Saite, taking care of the community by the sanitization of every car of every person that entered the community. So they took some time to do this. They were in the entrance of the community, putting hand sanitizers and putting sanitization in the vehicles, in the people, so that they can be protected as a community, but as projects as well. We saw people creating new projects. We saw women creating new projects around agriculture to serve themselves, but also to support their families and to support their communities. We saw women delivering food bags. We saw women cooking for more women, cooking to deliver nutritious diets for more women. We saw women serving girls around school materials, delivering schooling materials that were important for kids to learn in the middle of a pandemic where education was very unstable and that was very changed. We saw women taking care of other women through different workshops, through different initiatives around mental health. We saw women trying to help other women with construction materials, for example, whenever they were needed, because as many of you know, in the middle of the pandemic, we also had a big environmental crisis here in El Salvador because of Tropical Storm Amanda. So women activated themselves and started looking for funds and looking for construction materials, because many of their houses were damaged, but other houses of their colleagues and friends and community neighbors were also damaged. So we saw all this big mobilization of women, and we saw the big results. And the big results, we saw the big results through different areas. And today I would like to share a testimony with you that highlights or that represents, that show us what women can do with resiliency through solidarity. And I would like to share the testimony of a woman. She's from Nicaragua, and she is Demilda Esther Ramirez Saldaña. And she says, I live in Puerto Viejo. Ilse, you can change to the slide, please. I live in Puerto Viejo, municipality of San Francisco Libre. I am married. I am 62 years old, mother of 4 children. And first of all, I thank God, women and community, and IPM. With the revolving fund for the empowerment of women and youth projects promoted by Mujer y Comunidad, and with IPM funds, I have been benefited with 5 loans, with which I have obtained many benefits for my family. Since through the training that they have provided, the team in charge, it has been of great help to know how to invest it, account for my profits and my expenses. Other of my achievements are the following: construction of a small store in the hospital of my municipality, where I sell different items, food, etc. That is my source of employment to support my family. I also have a rental business for chair, tablecloths, chair hoods for any events, wedding, 15 years, seminars, etc. In the municipality and other communities. I make cakes for all occasions, and I'm satisfied with the help that this project has provided. And my wish is that they continue supporting women entrepreneurs who want to be financially independent, thus the empowerment of women of San Francisco Libre. And I'm going to start being more quick with the presentations because I already saw the time. So please, Ilse, if you can continue. Another important lesson that we learn is education. And education should always be inclusive. The United Nations Children's Agency found that the region children have been disproportionately affected by the pandemic. While schools are gradually reopening in several parts of the world, the vast majority of classrooms are still closed across the region, it said. Over 1/3 of all countries in Latin America and the Caribbean have yet to set a date for school reopening. In fact, many of the schools in El Salvador, in Colombia, and in other parts of Latin America hasn't opened yet their doors to the kids, which changes drastically their dynamic of learning, but also of relating to other kids as well as their families. The report also found that COVID-19 was likely to exacerbate sky-high inequality and push more children out of formal education, with many in the region studying from home, a lack of technology infrastructure, such as tablets and computers, as well as internet. Many children were likely to drop out of school. And so in the next slide, you will see three leaders of Patronato Lidia Coyola, which is the project, the educational project here in El Salvador, in El Saite, working in 3 computers that thanks to IPM support, they were able to have access to continue their educations, but also to help other kids continue their education. And so we can see here the testimony of Carlos Diaz, who is the director of this center. And it says, thanks to IPM, 3 computers and 3 voltage regulators were purchased and installed in El Saite School Reinforcement Center. with the aim that students use technology resources to carry out their tasks in time of pandemic. Thank you for the support in education out of girls, boys, and young people. Education is the only way to release and remove bandages. And so we know that we know the importance of education, but with these changes in the world, we saw also that many kids drop out of school and couldn't afford many technological elements like computers, tablets, and even internet connections. And so this is also a type of resiliency, to adapt to these big changes that the world is suffering. And we can only sometimes achieve these changes or these resilient moves through solidarity, through the support of organizations, of other communities, of other institutions as well, as is the case of Patronato Livia Coyola. And so the final lesson that we learned with the work of our project partner is that equality is the key to effective pandemic control. In the economic recovery, equality is essential to boost growth and productivity, both directly through access to education, food, health, and opportunities for all people, and indirectly avoiding the concentration of economic and political power that limits, captures, and distorts public policies. In Latin America and the Caribbean, rebuilding better implies rebuilding with equality. And so we saw different social inequalities and social injustices around not only around the areas where our project partners are working, but all around the country, all around Latin America. And so the aim is to invest in equality, and not only invest in terms of economic resources, but invest in technological resource, in technical resource as well, and in human resource overall. And in the next slide, Ilse, if you can change it, please, you will see that our project partners adapt a very resilient work model. And they pass from being regular meetings in person, event participation, project execution, and income generation activities to more institutional alliances, food sovereignty projects, technology development, virtual activities, new organizational groups were created, increased organization as well. And this is all part of that equality, of trying to make more opportunities for more people. And so since they make these changes in their work model, we as a staff of IPM also needed to change. We needed to be resilient with them and for them. And so we went from having regular visits, we went from having events participation, face-to-face workshops, annual donations, and immersion experience programs to constant communication through all platforms and different platforms. We also made, as I was mentioning, virtual workshops and activities. We started to make more regular donations, and we have never been a relief response organization, but we saw the need of starting this type of activity, of starting this type of donations, because the needs were very great. And so we decided to do this. And we also created the virtual immersion experience program through these activities and through these interventions. We got to support the needs of our project partners. And we cannot say it was enough, because it's never enough, but it was a show of solidarity. If you can put the next slide, please, Ilse. I already said that, the next one. Yeah, that one, thank you. And so through all these changes, we got to fund or to to support many of their needs. And so we did a special campaign that was called Solidarity is Greater Than Any Disaster in order to attend all the needs that Tropical Storm Amanda made in El Salvador specifically. And so through solidarity of many people, of many organizations, we got to donate different support to our partners in terms of construction material, in terms of medicine, in terms of foods, in terms of economical donations as well. And 10% of the funds that we received that were distributed were used to provide medicine to different families and communities. 14% were used for food, 11% of the support were for clothes, 23% of the donations included face masks, kitchen appliances, toys, cleaning supplies, personal supplies, diapers, furniture, and more. And 42% of the funds were used to buy construction materials. So families were able to repair their houses, which have a dignified house is not only important to have a healthy lifestyle, to have healthy relationships, but also in the middle of a pandemic, to have the proper conditions in a house, it's important, it's necessary. And so finally, I would like to share with you in the report that I made the results of the economical support that we have provided to our partners in 2020. And so you can see that 4% of the donations were made through immersion experiences or virtual immersion experiences and other educational opportunities. 42% of the funds were used to make annual donations. 21% of the funds were used to make in-kind donations, technical assistance, and gifts. And 33% were used for the regional office, staff, and fellows. And so I think when we look ahead in 2021, we need to take into account all these important lessons and know that if we are going to invest, know that if we're going to support, know that if we're going to have a close relationship to our partners, we need to aim to these needs and to these lessons, because this is what is important to them. And this is what really makes changes in not only in their communities, but in their projects as well, where they can reach more people and more participants. And so this is what I wanted to share today with you all. I was kind of running in the last minutes of this presentation, but I really hope that the message of our project partners fell in your minds and in your hearts. And let's remember, as Romero said, that each one of you has to be God's microphone. And so all what our project partners are doing needs to be reflected in the world and needs to be attended as well in terms of needs. So thank you so much for participating in this presentation. And I know it's already time to stop, so I'm gonna stop here and maybe open up, I don't know, for some questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Adela, for that absolutely phenomenal presentation. I hope you all can hear me better now. And you probably can see two of me, which maybe that will help with the hearing. There were a number of really important comments, Adela, throughout your presentation, thanking you for all the hard work, acknowledging the focus on mental health is really being a priority going forward, the ways that you're sort of reimagining, or IPM is reimagining resilience right now in relation to the mental health challenges folks continue to face. But we have a moment or two if anyone would like to add their own comment or question on Zoom. We could certainly open it up for a few moments, and just please unmute yourself and share that directly with everyone.
Should we just start talking?
Yes, sure. Go ahead, Jim.
Rather than burn time, I'll just start talking and try to keep it as brief as possible. Thank you so much. It's extremely inspiring to see the work you're doing. Sorry I've been so out of touch for so long, and I thank you, Ilza, for continuing to include me on these emails. I see it as profoundly powerful, the process of reimagining resilience and binding that to solidarity and using that to transform communities in a long-term, sustainable, equitable fashion. So bravo. This is significant and inspiring to see the work that you're doing. And I'll be thinking about a lot of what you shared here. I've been taking lots of notes, but this is really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Really,
go
well,
ahead.
certainly I want to thank my wonderful colleague, Adela. I mean, she continues to inspire all of us on the staff every day with her commitment and her work. And but I really feel compelled to thank you, Jim, again, for joining us today and for the legacy that IPM is able to continue because of your parents. I mean, I never had the pleasure of meeting your dad, but I certainly treasure every conversation I ever had with your mom, and you know, the profound wisdom and the heart and the love and the total gratitude that we have for your parents and for all of you and your family, as well as Paul and Versil and their extended families as well, continues to inspire us every day in this work. And it really shows the impact all of us make in social change through solidarity, through accompaniment. And it is a blessing, as Jim Kampafner and Dorothy had said in the comments, being able to be connected virtually like this through this kind of programming and learn from each other and get reinforced in the work that still needs to be done, because there certainly still is a lot of work that needs to be done for equity and equality and all of that. So thank you all for being with us and walking with us each and every day.
Hi, quickly, I loved your presentation, Adela. It's good to see everybody. I look forward to meeting everybody, because what I want to emphasize is what you said towards the beginning of your presentation about how we are agents of our own history, and that it really, I believe, is about social change when we can work with one person at a time. Social change really only happens and you're seeing it in America, in the North America, in Cleveland, for example, where there's so much adversity and people are tending to split more than ever. And it really comes down to just solidarity, one person at a time. And I loved what you were saying about the positive and negative outcomes with resiliency. And Cleveland is one of the poorest cities in our country. And every day I can look across the street and watch them build a brand new house. It's a McMansion. It's going to be 5,000 square feet of space in their house, which I can fit 3 of my houses in there easily, and then still have room left over. And then right across the street, going this way, is a woman who is struggling to make her rent every month, struggling to keep food in the refrigerator, struggling to keep her kids in school. It's an amazing thing. And Trump supporters all around, and Republicans all around, and Democrats all around. And so anyway, I just thought I would throw that in there. Thanks for helping us out with some more information.
Thank you again, Doug.
So much, Doug.
Too much.
So the joys of technology are, delays and muting and unmuting and all that good stuff. But it's been a real thrill, as Ilse said, to have all of you with us today, from California to Nepal and Kenya to El Salvador and everywhere in between. I want to thank Adela again, not only for this beautiful presentation, but for all the really difficult and emotionally and physically, spiritually taxing work that I know that she and her colleagues and our partners in El Salvador and throughout the world have been through during the course of the past year. For those of you who are enjoyed this presentation, I should let you know that Adela, Vicky, and Ada and I will be making a similar presentation as part of the University of Maine at Orono's Spring Speaker Series. That will be on March 18th. And again, we'll be talking about IPM's response to COVID-19 during the past year and what lessons have been learned around resiliency and solidarity at that time. Next Friday at this same time, we'll be having a presentation from one of two sets of women in India. We have yet to confirm exactly which one it will be or which group of women it will be, but it will be in direct relation to International Women's Day, and reflecting on the importance of that day, and particularly the importance of some of our project and community partners in India, in and around Golana in particular, and the remarkable work that they continue to do in that part of the world. So again, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank Adela especially, and Vicky and Aneta, who I know supported her in this presentation, for putting all this remarkable material together and for sharing it with us so beautifully and passionately and with the right focus that frankly Adela is always so good at calling us back to whenever she speaks on IPM's behalf. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you all for joining us from all around the world. We'll look forward to seeing you next week, if not beforehand. And may the peace that passes all understanding be with you this weekend and throughout the coming week. And happy International Women's Day, everyone, coming up on Monday. Take good care and stay safe.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Big hugs. Bye.